Welcome to Michigan Out of Doors. I'm Jenny Olson, and this week we've got some wintertime adventures for you. Now here in the Lower Peninsula, it's been a little mild when it comes to the wintertime weather, but in the Upper Peninsula, even though it's been a little mild for their standards, they did have plenty of ice for me to head over to the west end to get an ice fishing story up there. We went to the Mark Martin Ice Fishing School on Lake Gogebic, and Jimmy's got another UP adventure for us this week too.
Well, that's right, Jenny. I was also in the Upper Peninsula for this week's show. I was actually on the far east end of the Upper Peninsula doing a little hare hunting and finding out a little bit more about Lake Superior State University. We'll have that for you, as well as some new proposed changes for deer hunting regulations for this upcoming season. Lots of good stuff on this week's show. You stay tuned. I'm Jimmy Gretzinger. It's time for Michigan Out of Doors.
From the first spring rains to the soft summer breeze, dancing on the pine forest floor, the autumn colors catch your eyes. Here come the crystal winter skies. It's Michigan, Michigan out of doors. Someday our children all will see this is their finest legacy, the wonder and the love of Michigan. As the wind comes whispering through the trees, the sweet smell of nature's in the air. From the Great Lakes to the quiet stream, shining like a sportsman's dream, it's the love of Michigan we all share.
Michigan Out of Doors is presented by Greenstone Farm Credit Services, making recreational land ownership possible across Michigan and northeast Wisconsin. Begin your land financing journey at one of Greenstone's 37 locations or visit greenstonefcs.com. By Meijer, a destination for hunting, fishing, and camping. From bug spray and tents to GPS and gas, Meijer has nearly everything you need to take on nature and get you there. Meijer. By Chappelle, a Michigan company providing shelters, sleds, and accessories for your time on the ice or in the woods. Featuring the FX Series flipovers, the new Wide House and Trail House pop-ups. Chappelle has you covered on the web at chappelle.com. By Country Smokehouse, offering a variety of meat products. Country Smokehouse is located 3 miles south of I-69 on M53, just south of Imlay City. Country Smokehouse is a meat processor, a butcher, and a destination for sportsmen.
Over on the west end of the Upper Peninsula, the friendly town of Berglund sits at the top of Lake Gogebic, and that's where walleye pro Mark Martin held the first of 3 ice fishing vacation schools this year. I hit the road with MUCC's video producer Gabe Van Wormer with the idea that 2 cameras are better than 1. Gabe and I arrived at the Timbers Resort, headquarters for the school, and hit the ice with Mark and his gang of pro staffers to pre-fish the lake.
You know, I had fished it in the fall time, in the summertime, and done really well on this body of water over the course of the times I've fished it. And I says, man, we gotta, come and do this, And last year, it's like pre-fishing anything. You gotta go, and there's fish here, but you gotta find out what they want, where they are. And last year we did that, and we were pretty much in the same exact area. And that's what people have to remember. In the fall, where you're catching fish, that's where you want to start ice fishing, and this is right where we were catching fish in the fall time.
And Mark's hotspot was still producing through the ice. His good friend and pro staffer Jeff Soa was already into the fish in his infamous green shanty.
What I'm surrounded by is my good pro staff. These people are championship fishermen too, and they have their little spins on all these techniques, and I love to listen to their ideas, and they're out here doing them now, and they're catching fish doing their ideas and techniques. So they bringing them over from Lake of the Woods, they're bringing them over from Muskong Bay in Canada, and guys from Wisconsin are out here, their pro staff, bringing their techniques to this lake.
Medium-sized pike here. He might be a keeper, but pretty nice and hefty. He's not real long, so he might not be legal. We could keep him, but we're going to let him go. Good.
Well, the action was heating up, and I had some excitement over in my spot right off the bat. That is unbelievable. So I have a brand new Vexlar, and I've used many Vexlars. I've never set one up, so I didn't know for sure with the gain and the mode and all that. So Brandon comes in, and we put a little minnow head on the jigging wrap, and he says, okay, there you can see your bait down there. Oh, you already have a fish following it. He's holding the line, I'm holding the rod, and he's sets it by hand, and we end up hauling in a nice pike here. That was hilarious.
Yeah.
It worked.
Hey, yeah. How could you go wrong?
Right.
So what did Jenny actually do?
Jenny actually caught the fish. I just sat there and watched.
I think it was the other way around. I was holding the rod so it didn't get in his way while he was hand lining, apparently.
I was like, reel, reel, reel.
Very cool. What in the world?
Nice one.
That is hilarious.
What you got there, Dean?
About a 17-inch walleye. Just got it jigging with a buckshot jig, chrome, tipped with minnow head.
Jigging was producing some decent fish this morning, and so were the tip-ups. Mark and Brandon had a flag up on one of their new tip-ups, complete with a siren and light that go off when the flag pops up.
Yeah, look at that baby go. Turn this thing off, though. Look at that son of a gun go. Yeah, maybe we got a pretty decent fish here. Okay.
The big chunks out of there.
Ooh, walleye. Look at that, he's barely hooked right there too.
After all that time.
After all that time right there. And that just shows you that you just gotta kind of play with them a lot of times. And that's a nice keeper right there. Here, I'll let you. Oh yeah. Didn't go very far. Didn't go very far. Oh yeah, walleye. Nice one. Here you go, Jeff.
Yeah.
Nice.
Ain't done so
walleye.
bad over here today. Time I leave my tent, I get
That's a
another
good
nice fish.
Nice fish.
No, I like that.
Nice fish.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about right there.
Got him. Oh, nice perch. Oh, here's a nice one. That's what we've been looking for all day. Nice Lake Gogebic perch. Yeah, we need to get a bunch more like this now.
Come on up, baby. Come on up. Come on up. There he is. There he is.
You got it. Nice.
Whoa,
Sweet, holy cats.
Look
That's
at
a
that
nice
bad
walleye.
boy. That is nice.
Sweet, Joni. He's hooked in good. There it goes.
Oh, thank you.
Mark's wife Joni was able to connect with a nice walleye at the end of the day. Now it was time to head back to shore and into town to get ready for Mark's students who'd be arriving the next day. Participants in the ice fishing vacation school range in experience levels from beginner to well-seasoned ice anglers, and they all gather for a safety course and fishing seminar with Mark and his pro staff before they hit the ice. Here, they learn how to figure out where to start on a new body of water, check out new equipment, and ask lots of questions. The next morning, we all hit the ice once again. Mark says the idea for his school happened many years ago.
Well, 23 years ago, Gary Roach and I, we'd do them strictly for the media, no public or anything, and then we'd do TV and magazines. That way, the magazines and TV and newspapers would get it all out there to their listeners, their audiences, and then people started getting letters and phone calls to the stations, to the letters to the editor, letters to the authors, and they wanted to know, well, how come those guys, can they take us out? We'd like, do they do anything for the public? They all said, you should do that, Mark, you should do that. So, we started incorporating it here probably about, I'd say 15 years ago with students and media.
A couple of the students out here were Bruce and Karen Mail from nearby Bruce Crossing. This was Karen's first time fishing through the ice, and she was loving it.
Well, I just caught my first ice fish. I caught a pike. So it was pretty exciting. We were out there, somebody said our tip up went off, and we looked out and it was taking the line out. So it was pretty cool.
Why'd you decide to do this school?
Well, Bruce has ice fished for years, and I spring fish with him and fall fish. And this was the first opportunity we've had to actually be committed to go out and go ice fishing. And so, as he put it, rather than me pick up all of his bad habits, we'll come out and figure out the right way to do it. And we live a half an hour from this lake, and he's never had much success fishing it. So he thought if he talked to the pros, he might pick up some pointers and best way to fish the lake.
Over in a nearby shanty, Ken Rowe from Traverse City had just hauled in his first fish of the day. Hey, who caught this?
I did.
Yeah, nice.
He hit it once and I missed him and did the Mark Martin trick, pounded the bottom and he came right back and swallowed it, and now he's on the ice.
Ken was sharing a shanty with Patty Whitens. Patty's husband Brian is the other cameraman you see out here. Brian is helping out with the Discovering show that airs in the UP and was run for many years by Buck Lavasser, who is currently recovering from back surgery.
There you go, you got it. She was using a jig and wrap.
Oh,
a perch. Oh, with a walleye. I was using a dew jigger.
So is this your first time coming to one of the ice fishing schools?
No, it's my second. I went with Mark Martin at a school in Saginaw Bay.
You did? What do you think of it?
Oh, I love it. It's a lot of great guys. You learn a lot of different techniques, and it's safe.
Right.
Everyone talks, but you know you're all together, and everyone's safe. And I'm by myself, so when I ice fish, so I don't like to go alone. So these are perfect for me.
Another fisherman running solo out here was Tom Walker from Petoskey, who was enjoying the success of a nice walleye off his tip-up and the attention from outdoor writers and TV cameras. Tim and Sarah Long are the owners of Timbers Resort here on the lake, and Tim also runs a guide service for walleyes and rents out some pretty sweet fishing shacks with all the bells and whistles. He was out here fishing today and hooked into a nice one.
Gabe's got a good one. Nice fish, real nice fish. He's pumping it a little bit. Easy.
This is a good hole.
Whoa. Down there in the weeds. Here he comes. Here he comes. Oh, nice. Nice. Nice Lake Gogebic walleye. You gotta like that, huh? So yeah, we're fishing the cabbage weed down here in about 7 feet of water. As you can see, a little weed came up with this fish off the hook when he was making his run.
And it's a lot of fun. I learn something every day out here, and I got to keep an open mind all the time. I can learn from my students just as well as they learn from me. So, and I'm going to keep it going just as it is with media in school, because it's more fun, I think, watching the students interact with you guys, the media, and you guys get a little bit more out of it because you get the student's perspective instead of a pro's perspective, where mine is maybe skewed one way, theirs is skewed a different way, and it's more interesting for the whole audience.
Lake Gogebic treated us all very well, with plenty of fishing excitement out here. Thanks to Gabe Van Wormer for sharing his footage with us, and a very special thanks to Mark Martin for continuing to educate and inspire more and more anglers every year here in our great state and beyond.
This is always the time of year as we hit the wind down from the busy deer season that we start to collect data and break down what the outcome of the hunting season results were and start to bring recommendations forward for the next year, deer hunting regulations. We had made a commitment a number of years ago when we created Deer Management Unit 486, the large multi-county DMU in southern Michigan, that we felt that was probably a temporary arrangement to be able to provide the most flexibility as possible. You know, if you're a hunter that hunts in multiple counties, this deer management unit gives a lot of flexibility for you. If you're someone that's maybe not bought antlerless licenses before, and we still have some of those folks, you don't have to worry about where you may hunt. You've got a lot of flexibility to use those licenses everywhere. But over the past 7 to 10 years or so, we've seen deer numbers stabilize and even come down in southern Michigan compared to really decades in a row of almost consistent growth. So we're moving forward now with probably breaking that deer management unit up, most likely not back to individual county units,
But in some instances, that may be the approach. It'll be the next few months that we have our field staff working to identify what some options might be for splitting that deer management unit up into smaller standalone units within that region.
In addition to breaking up southern Michigan into smaller DMUs, the DNR is also looking at the possibility of antler point restrictions in the southern part of the state as soon as the 2014 hunting season.
A group called the Southern Lower Peninsula Deer Management Initiative that did some work on conducting public surveys, looking at hunter interest in antler point restrictions and other ways to protect bucks. Developed some contacts with groups down there to build some support for restrictions in southern Michigan. They submitted to us back in the fall actually two different proposals. One that would implement what many folks have called the hunter's choice regulations like we have in the Upper Peninsula, that hunters would either be limited to only taking one buck, or if they took two bucks, there'd be a point restriction in place. Now in the UP, that restriction requires at least 3 antler points on a side if you're going to take 2 bucks. In southern Michigan, it would be a 4-point restriction on a side, so basically all bucks that would be taken if you were going to take 2 deer would require 4 points on a side. They also, though, submitted a proposal to potentially implement a restriction in northern Lower Peninsula as well, so the whole Lower Peninsula would be under a restriction. In that instance, it would be a 3 on a side restriction. Now, since we've gotten the survey results for the 12 counties in the Northwest, we're starting the discussions with that group to see which of the two proposals they would like to pursue implementation of.
For those of you who would like to have an input on the proposed antler point restrictions, or would just like to stay up to date on what's new concerning deer hunting here in Michigan, Brent reminds hunters that there are several avenues in which to voice your opinion and stay updated on the latest regulations.
Late spring becomes the deer regulation season, where we spend a lot of time, multiple months in a row, bringing recommendations forward. And again, the cycle always requires that any potential change is published so folks can see what it is that we're looking at doing. It's up for comment at a Natural Resources Commission meeting, and then it's not until a full month afterwards that any implementation can actually occur.
Special thanks to Brent Rudolph for keeping us up to date on what's new in southern Michigan.
Well, those are some of the proposed changes for southern Michigan as it pertains to deer hunting next year. What we're going to do on next week's program is take a look at the proposal in the northwest part of the Lower Peninsula. You won't want to miss that. What we're going to do now is head over to the east end of the Upper Peninsula, do a little hare hunting with some friends from Lake Superior State. Spending time in the Upper Peninsula is always worth the drive. So many great sportsmen and women, and on this trip, I would get to meet a pretty prominent UP resident, Tony McLain, the president of Lake Superior State.
Well, this bulletin board is my career and my life, and these are former students of mine from back in the 70s.
Okay.
Matter of fact, this student right here, who's one of my football students, just retired a short time ago. He's Brigadier General Mike Peplinski, and he was in charge of Selfridge Air Force Base, and this was when he went into the Air Force Academy. So I mean, this is a history of me, but it's a history of a lot of kids that I've had the opportunity and the pleasure to work with. And of course, I get a lot of my hunting trips in.
Oh yeah.
And my fishing trips. These are just some great memories for me. And I've been a track coach for 40 years, so these are some of my track kids, and we've been avid backpackers over the years, and so we've got some of our backpacking trips. Some are better trips than others. And then there's some UP things, like many people have never seen the Ebon Ice Caves up here in the UP. Okay. That's kind of a local secret. So this is just variety pack of my life.
And how many years have you been doing this here at the school?
I've been here since 2009 at Lake Superior State University. And I was actually retired when I took the job here. I was asked to come out of retirement, and this was such a great place to work that I couldn't pass it up. I just couldn't pass it up.
This is a great school that is really outdoor friendly. First stop was the gun room. Yes, that's right, a place for students to check their guns in so that they can check them out to go hunting and enjoy the great outdoors.
We have, within a 30 minutes drive, we have miles and miles and acres of national forest. and they really enjoy to go out there and take advantage of that. And I don't know of very many schools, if any other schools, that have that within a 30-minute drive for the students.
It is great to see an example of guns and schools that is positive. Lake State really does cater to folks that love the outdoors.
We're looking at, these are former officers' quarters from when this was U.S. Army Fort Brady, and the houses, they're called the row houses because it's a row of houses, but they've been restored for student residents for many years, and lately what we've been doing is restoring them to what we call living learning communities, where students who share the same major or at least the same field of study can live, and then you're able to study with students who are in the same major and talk about what you did in class that day and kind of extend the learning experience.
So we're able to look at the yellow perch in Cranberry Lake, which is located on the Hiawatha Sportsman's Club property, and we're able to compare these lengths at age to the state average to see how well these fish are growing in that system. And upon completion of this project, we'll be able to actually know in that lake the size interval for the different age classes of yellow perch.
As you can see, the students in the Wildlife and Fisheries Department get some great hands-on work, especially the local power plant that houses part of the school's Fisheries Department. Students, along with our own DNR, are doing research on the effects of lamprey on our whitefish population, and also rearing Atlantic salmon for release into the St. Mary's River. But it's not all work here. The night I was in town, Tony was hosting a party at the Lake State hockey game where he would interact with some students. And I had a chance to ask Tony a little bit about the makeup of the student body here in the Sioux.
Well, a typical Lake State student is a small town student. You come from usually Upper Michigan or the Upper Peninsula. Now we get lots of kids from other areas, but I would say that small town northern Michigan student is probably about 60% of our clientele. A lot of outdoors type kids, farm kids, just a really nice mix of down-home kind of kids, and that's what we cater to, and a lot of our programs reflect that.
Well, Tony is a great administrator and, more importantly to me, a great guy who loves to chase bugles. We were in for a morning of hunting with Tony and some of his buddies who just happened to be faculty at the school, and a few students as well. And we got right into the action pretty quickly.
Actually, Rusty's kicked this one up out of the brush pile. So.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Nice. Well, congratulations.
Thank
How
you.
far was the shot?
I don't know. Pretty close. probably 20 yards.
Nice job.
Thank you.
You got one?
Yeah, I got one. Why does he sound like a question mark?
Well, we don't have it, on camera or anything.
Well, no, you don't have it on camera, but Chris will attest to the shot.
Got it with your pistol?
Yeah.
And what kind of pistol are you carrying today?
I'm carrying a .357 pistol, but it's a .38 wad cutter that we're using for hunting.
Okay.
I reload these with 2.3 grains of red dot, which means they're going about 600 feet a second, which is a little faster than a BB gun.
So pretty slow.
Pretty slow, and that's what makes them very accurate and a very clean kill for rabbits.
We had a few snowshoes in hand, and let me tell you, getting a white rabbit on camera in the snow, not easy. Fortunately, I was behind one of our best shots on this volley.
Oh, nice shot. She can shoot.
Yeah.
What a shot.
Thank you very much.
Dead eye.
Thank you.
Wow. I think we might have got that one on tape, maybe.
Awesome. A little adrenaline pumping through my veins right now.
That was awesome.
It's a lot.
Boy, he is a beauty.
Yeah.
Boy, they're hard to see in that snow.
That's for sure.
I have to say I was really impressed with Lake Superior State. Not only was Tony great, but his faculty that were on this hunt with us were great folks as well who love to hunt and fish, and how great is that? We had a couple graduating students on hand as well going into wildlife and fisheries management, just one of the areas that this school emphasizes. The outdoors is obviously a big draw to folks that live in the Upper Peninsula, but it was really neat to see that carried over to this fine school as well. We did find a few more rabbits today and ended up with 5 and 2 grouse. It was a great day of chasing beagles through the woods of the eastern UP. And thanks to all at Lake Superior State that helped show us that there are still places where schools, hunting, fishing, responsible gun use, indoor and outdoor sports can all work together here in Michigan's Out of Doors. Well, thanks for watching the show, everybody, this week. And if you'd like some more information, actually, Mark Martin is going to be doing one more of his ice fishing vacation schools. It's going to be on Saginaw Bay. If you'd like some more information on that, it's all going to be weather permitting. You can check that out online. And coming up over the next couple of weeks, we're going to be doing some more ice fishing, a little bit more rabbit hunting, hopefully a little coyote hunting as well. So lots of good stuff coming up over the next few weeks. And if you get a chance, you can always check us out online at MichiganOutofDoorsTV.com, or you can check us out on Facebook as well. Thanks so much for joining us this week, and hopefully see you right back here next week on your PBS station.
Michigan Out of Doors is presented by Showspan, producing consumer shows including Outdoorama February 21st through the 24th at Novi's Suburban Collection Showplace. The show features tackle, trips, boats, outfitters, wildlife encounters, and of course Big Buck Night. That's Outdoorama in Novi February 21st through the 24th. By Propane, exceptional energy. Propane retailers promote the safe use of Michigan-produced gas energy in homes, farms, and businesses across our great state. Learn more at usemichiganpropane.com. By Meyer, a destination for hunting, fishing, and camping. From bug spray and tents to GPS and gas, Meyer has nearly everything you need to take on nature and get you there. Meyer. Closed captioning is brought to you by Propane, exceptional energy. Propane retailers promote the safe use of Michigan-produced gas to outdoor enthusiasts across our great state.
When I wander far away, a dream stays with me night and day. It's the road that leads to my home state. I am a Michigan man. Changing seasons paint the scene like rainbows